A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to Survival of No Limits. Now, let's get on into some new topics right here, because after all, I did have to wait a little while before I could pretty much come back outside to do some more, well, recording of this stuff. So, basically speaking, it's about time that I finally managed to get back around to doing it. So, let's just get started by talking about number 42, which is here on the list. Snake encounters. Okay, so snake encounters, it pretty much is. Most of the time whenever you're out there exploring or just venturing off into the wilderness, there's usually a slew of different things out there that could prove to be dangerous if you aren't careful, but there's certainly one thing out there that some people actually have developed a phobia for, and that'd be snake encounters. Having phobias against snakes is a bit common most of the time, but in some cases it can be rather severe. But it more or less depends on what variety or breed of snake that you pretty much have to face against. Basically speaking, no matter what kind of species the snake might actually be, or perhaps what terrain you're basically in, whether it's grassy lands, mudlands, watery swamps, or otherwise, there's a good chance you might find a snake out there in a certain section of the world that you might be out in, all by yourself, or maybe with a partner. If there's one true thing that we should actually go ahead and highlight, it'd be the fact that, well, depending on the snake species itself for the most part, and also depending on whether it is poisonous or non-poisonous, the results of an encounter could probably be more or less dependent on what the snake's abilities are and what kind of, well, species has been identified. If it's something like a cottonmouth or a viper, or maybe even a cobra, it would certainly not be a good sign at all. It'd be the start of a really bad day at some point. One breed of snake out there, though, seems to trump them all. The inland taipan in Australia. That alone has enough toxin to kill tons of people at once, which is massive enough, but I might as well go ahead and talk a little bit about another breed of snake that I had actually spoken about some time ago. The Belcher's sea snake. This exact breed happens to have the highest levels of toxicity in venom thus far. A couple milligrams would be enough to kill at least 1,000 people, which is just gigantic. I mean, it seems ridiculous, but it's apparently true. It's known to cause liver failure for the most part, based on the toxicity in its venom. And the Belcher's sea snake does not necessarily become angry or provoked very easily, nor does it inject venom most of the time whenever it bites down on a victim, but chances are, if you do end up getting bitten by that kind of snake especially, then you'll be in for probably some of the worst experiences that you might ever feel. So, tragic as it may sound, there's still a good chance that you might actually have just a faithful encounter with something like a garter snake or maybe a potted flower snake or something of the sorts. One that's non-venomous, one that's pretty small, and likewise. So, at the end of the day, you can pretty much expect to have the great outdoors to yourself for the most part. But let's not forget that there actually does seem to be a few things out there that I've actually yet to talk about. So, that's pretty much it for right now. Also, these new shades right here, it's not really a sponsor, but I can say that these guys over at DE certainly do a great job making these kind of little visors for the eyes. Very effective at keeping out extra sunlight, and also to help have some great vision out there on probably the worst days where you might be so brightened up that, well, you could just go blind after a few seconds. So, again, we're not sponsored by this, so that's pretty much it, though, for Survival of No Limits for now. But if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.